Are we rolling?
Yes.
Oh, hi everybody. Okay.
All right, so hi Misfits, Toni Craft Show. I have Derek Cascio with me today. Super excited about it. He and I went to college together.
Yeah.
In Boston. We went to Mass Art together, and we actually knew each other a tiny bit before that.
That's true.
I went to a school called Wentworth before I transferred to Mass Art, and Derek now teaches at Wentworth.
I do.
Which is funny. And I mean, they're across the street from each other,
That's
so
true.
I guess it's not that weird.
No, it's not that weird. I didn't get very far.
Yeah.
So.
We went to school together in industrial design.
Correct.
And which is also known as product design. And there's a lot of drawing to that.
There
and
is.
a lot of
Visual exploration.
visual experts, 3D.
3D, yeah, all that.
Modeling.
Yeah, prototyping, testing, all that good stuff.
Yeah. And so Derek now teaches what?
Industrial design.
Do you do any illustration classes?
I teach all the drawing classes that are there as well, and I still do some illustration work on the side too. So, drawing is a really, really big part of my career, and it's also something that everyone can do and thinks that they can't. So, yeah, she's very good. Don't. And so today we're going to talk a little bit about how you can use drawing, whether you think you're good at it or not, to explore possibilities for design.
Another way to say that, I think, is just using drawing to plan your project.
Yeah, drawing. I mean, design
It's
is
like pre-plan.
Yeah, design is visual planning in a lot of ways,
Yeah.
right? So.
Which is helpful probably for people like me who kind of just have the idle hand syndrome and kind of just make stuff.
Yeah.
If I stopped every now and then and said, this is what I want it to look like in the end, then I'd probably have
Yeah, it's a
less
great.
random crap everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, it's about time saving. It's about sort of being able to put your thoughts and evaluate what you're doing and sort of check in.
Okay, so Derek had come up with an idea to start with a plan, a drawn plan.
Yeah,
A drawed plan.
A drawed plan. Yeah.
To start with a plan and then create something. So it's going to be 2 steps. We have a whole bunch of stuff in front of us to work with, and the end product is going to be a hair piece, otherwise known as a hair fascinator, hair accessory.
Not for me. It won't be for me.
Although your fiance has a lot.
She
of
does.
hair.
She does.
Yeah, we'll show a picture of her right here.
Yeah, it'll be nice.
If she'll let us.
I'll ask.
And so that's going to be the end product is a hair fascinator of some sort. And Derek asked me to just sort of collect a bunch of random stuff that we could say, okay, here, this is our parameters.
Yeah.
This is what we have to work with.
Constraints.
So these are our constraints. So we have some turkey feathers that you guys have seen me work with in the past. And then I picked up some other feathers from the craft store that are specific to crafting. We've got quills and some lacy stuff, some things that I've casted, and some sand dollars that I picked up at the beach. Some wire, not sure how we're gonna use that, but
I got an idea.
and that's basically it. So Derek's gonna show us kind of how to sketch out some projects, and we're gonna go from there.
And I have no idea what's going to happen with this. We haven't planned any of this ahead of time, and that's really what this is all about.
Right.
So we're gonna figure it out.
Okay.
Cool. I like to start with thinking about what the shape of this is going to be. Right? What are the major shapes? So whether you're comfortable drawing or not, anyone can do this, and you don't have to worry about it being super clean. The main goal here is that you're thinking about what you have to work with and how you're going to put it together. Right? So I'm thinking maybe we do something that's sort of like a Valkyrie wing, right, from an old Norse helmet kind of thing that would tack into the side. We have some hair clips here that I think might make for a really nice fastener. So let's see, if thinking about what those shapes are, right, that's the shape of that hair clip. Maybe we might need 2, right, so I can think about what's going to go on there and how these might get attached. So I really like the turkey feathers, so we're going to start with some really big feathers here, right? And again, these shapes can get built in, and I really like, we've got this one little long piece here that's pretty cool, right? So you can start, and then you can think about layering these pieces in. So I'm just drawing big shapes right now. We're not putting any detail in, we're not putting any of the, we're not making them photoreal, we're just looking at overall silhouette, right? And I really like those little quills, right? So maybe those little quills can stick out the front. You also want to think about, is it going to stab you in the head? We said, what are we going to do with this wire? That'd be really cool to wrap some of that wire around the ends of those quills. to add a little bit of flair. Now, you know, when you're drawing, you're making visual notes to yourself, but you can also make real notes. And this is very much an industrial design thing. But if you need a little reminder of what these pieces are when you go to build it,
or if you're showing someone else.
Or if you're showing someone else, exactly, right? So say I do this and I want to share this design with somebody, say, how bad do you think this is? They can give some feedback on it. You know, the cool thing about doing this kind of exercise or drawing or design is that, you know, it applies to everything and everyone can do it. So you can ask your friends, you know, what do you think of this? As long as you start to get an idea on a page, you now have something that everybody can respond to. And that's a really great thing about this process. You know, the nice thing about this is every drawing you do can iterate, right? Iteration is really important. You take one idea and you see something that you like in it, and you say, oh, I'm going to add to that some more. If we start finding something that you think is going in the right direction, you can focus on that. So that becomes sort of the starting point for a bunch of other iterations, which is really cool. Right now, we're just looking at this from the side, but we might need to think about, well, what is this going to look like if we were looking at it from the top? Or if we're going to bunch all this stuff together, right, you're going to get a different shape. So maybe I have to explore sort of what that's going to look like from the top. If I've got this little ring here, right, and these are all bundled together, maybe that actually curls. So again, none of these things are anatomically correct, but the basic proportions are there. So understanding some of that stuff is sometimes helpful when you're doing projects like this. And anybody can do it, which is the best part. Right? We do it as kids all the time. You don't even think about it. And again, it gives you a plan of, before I start, I'm going to start with this.
Right.
It may all go off the rails after that,
But,
but it's a place to start. I want to talk a minute about what I'm drawing with. It's just a ballpoint pen. You don't need fancy stuff. You know, you can get a Sharpie is great for this kind of stuff. A regular ballpoint pen, any kind of felt pen. This is a Flair pen. You can get at Staples or any office supply store. This is just a pencil from an art store, but you could use a number 2 pencil as well. There's really no rules to that. It's whatever you have in front of you, you can do. Now there are different effects, right? So I can add a little bit of, you know, line weight so that we can make it even clearer. So we know sort of what objects are in front of other objects and that kind of thing.
And when we were in college, most people did use Big Pens.
Yeah, Big Pen is a preferred drawing implement.
Which is funny.
You know, and so it helps us just see some of those silhouettes a little bit more readily. And if you want to add a little bit of detail in with your light pen after you've done that, so you can start to, you know, add a little bit of pizzazz to the drawing. And again, it's just about clear communication. So when somebody looks at it, they go, what is that? So, well, it looks kind of like a feather. Bingo. That's what it is. It's a feather. Anything here tickle anyone's fancy? Okay.
I actually really like this first one you did, yeah.
Okay. I can keep going if you want to start maybe laying that guy out. How do you want to do that?
Sure.
And the scale of these things, too, is not necessarily dictated by this drawing. It's not until I put a head in there that you might realize, like, oh, this thing's really huge, or it's really big. So that's, you know, again, somewhat constrained by what you have, but you can change that, right? If I do this and then I say, well, the head's only this big, well, that looks like a Tropicana head piece, which you do not necessarily want. But, you know, if it's bigger, you know, if the head's like here, then it becomes a little bit smaller. So something to think about. Kind of like the idea, you know, if you don't have colored pencils or pens or anything, or colored markers or something. And if you want to learn more about markers, you can check out the previous episode, the Toni Craft Show. But if you don't have any of those things, you can get away by just, you know, shading a couple of pieces. So here I'm playing with, you know, alternating color, alternating value. So maybe it's a light feather and a dark feather and a light feather and then a dark feather, or vice versa. You know, that contrast will really help kind of give your design a little bit more interest.
How's it look?
That looks quite beautiful. It really does. Nicely done. Yeah, I like that a lot.
It actually sits pretty well.
Yeah.
I can move around.
Yeah. Actually, can you get it closer to your ear? Or is it...
Like down?
Yeah, like down further. There you go. Now we're talking. Yeah. It's always cool when you see a drawing come to life like that. Every time.
So wait, let's show it. So he drew that, and I made it into that. Ta-da!
From sketch to reality. And the cool thing is you can do that. We've got already how many different concepts here,
right.
you know?
I think this came out pretty cool.
I think so
it's
too.
It's like a bird's nest.
Yeah, it's really pretty. With just a hint of danger. And that...
That's the beauty.
Is the beauty. I love it. Very nice.
So this was fun. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, this is great. Always a pleasure to work together.
So Derek's in Boston. He teaches at Wentworth Institute of Technology.
You can find me online on Instagram at Derek Cascio.
Do you do YouTube?
I've done a couple things on there, but nothing major yet.
Why don't you do drawing videos?
I have a couple up there. But yeah, you can find me around. If you Google my name, you'll see a whole bunch of stuff.
Yes.
A whole bunch of stuff.
So if you liked this video and want to see more, please subscribe. That's the #1 best thing you can do, because then I will know to keep making awesome videos like this. And if you've liked this video in particular, please press like, and please leave a comment. If you have any questions for Derek or for me, please feel free to comment. I'm happy to make a video at your suggestion or to answer questions in the comments. So please do that. I would love to hear from you.
You can, on Instagram, you can Google me. I'm on Twitter, a couple other places. All good stuff. And
hopefully soon YouTube. Let's harass him until he starts doing drawing videos on YouTube. Thanks, guys.
Bye, Misfits.
Thanks for watching.